Welcome back to Tales from the Long Box. Not every costume is a hit, and some are so bad they become legendary for all the wrong reasons. This is part 4 of the dumbest costumes in comics, where we dive into the bizarre, impractical, and downright ridiculous outfits that make you wonder, what were they thinking? We've already seen some truly baffling designs in the first 3 parts, but trust me, this round has even more unforgettable disasters. So buckle up, because the dumbest costumes in comics are still here to embarrass themselves. First up is Silver Sorceress, who made her debut in Justice League of America number 87. She's a hero from the nuclear-ravaged world of Angor. Initially, she fought against the Justice League, but later teamed up with them. After being captured by the extremists, the villains who destroyed her world, she helped Justice League Europe defeat them and joined that team. Sadly, she sacrificed herself to stop Dreamslayer, leaving her friend Blue Jay as the last survivor of their people. While Silver Sorceress is heavily inspired by Scarlet Witch, her costume just doesn't measure up. Scarlet Witch's outfit is iconic and reflects her magical, mysterious vibes, but Sorceress's look feels like a cheap knockoff. A gold bodysuit with a cutout to show off her abs, a red cape, brown gloves and boots, and a terrible brown helmet that looks like it has bunny ears or something on top. Her outfit doesn't even give off any mystical or magical vibes, which is pretty ironic for a sorceress. It's more like generic space armor than arcane wizardry. And the fact that her name has silver in it, but her costume has no silver, makes no sense. I get that the character is canonically colorblind, but couldn't someone clue her in that she's wearing the completely wrong colors? Next, we have Mr. Sarcastic, also known as Tim Drake, third person to take on the role of Robin in DC Comics. He's no stranger to different costumes, but one of the most ridiculous looks comes from Young Justice, issue number 52, where he temporarily took on the alias of Mr. Sarcastic. This happened when the team became reality TV stars, and Tim wanted to keep his secret identity safe. By creating the over-the-top persona of Mr. Sarcastic, he managed to stay anonymous while still doing his superhero thing. But seriously, this costume just gets dumber the longer you look at it. Pants seem normal enough until you spot that giant cowboy belt buckle, paired with a sleeveless shirt that has netting on the sides, a fur collar, and a cape covered in flames that would make the mayor of Flavortown jealous. And let's not forget the studded leather wrist cuffs and green lens sunglasses. How is this even a disguise? If you walked into a room wearing this, nobody would miss you. Also, totally unrelated, but how does his hair work? It literally grows longer moments later. It's just so dumb. Then there's Adam X, also known as Extreme, who perfectly embodies Marvel's 90s aesthetic, era known for its exaggerated designs and over-the-top machismo. His look is a checklist of 90s tropes: long flowing hair, a soul patch, nonsensical spikes all over his costume, excessive arm and leg bands, and sometimes a backwards baseball cap. These elements combine to create a character who feels more like a parody of the decade than a serious hero. The result? A costume that's both impractical and visually chaotic, showcasing the era's obsession with bombastic and edgy designs. Adam X made a comeback in X-Men Legends, where he was confirmed as Cyclops and Havoc's long-lost half-brother. Fittingly, they kept his ridiculous costume, leaning into nostalgia and reminding fans just how extreme the 90s were. Adam X is a symbol of a time when comic book designs tossed logic aside, spikes, pouches, and attitude. Now let's talk about the Walrus. His costume is a masterclass in bad design, combining clashing elements into an outfit that feels both nonsensical and laughably unthreatening. At its core, it's based on a walrus theme featuring a brown bodysuit, tusks, and whiskers. While animal-themed costumes can work, this one leans too heavily into the literal, making it feel more like a low-budget Halloween costume than something a supervillain would wear. The design really goes off the rails with the bizarre addition of a rainbow-colored insignia on his chest. Rainbows are cool, but this addition has nothing to do with a walrus. It feels completely random, as if someone slapped it on the last minute to add color, ignoring how horribly it clashes with the rest of the outfit. The bright rainbow emblem stands out so much against the otherwise drab, walrus-like brown that it makes the costume even more ridiculous. Plus, the outfit lacks any intimidating qualities. Most villains aim for costumes that inspire fear or at least command attention, but the walrus looks like he's ready for a children's stage play about sea life. His whiskers and tusks are more comical than threatening, making it hard to take him seriously. With that random rainbow insignia, it's tough to tell if the costume was meant to confuse, amuse, or both. Ultimately, the Walrus's costume is a perfect example of poor design choices piling up to create something utterly absurd. It's goofy, unbalanced, and totally unfit for a supervillain, making it one of the dumbest costumes in Marvel's history. Finally, we have Herbie Popnecker, aka the Fat Fury. He's the gold standard of intentionally ridiculous character design. Debuting in Forbidden Worlds number 73, way back in 1958, Herbie is an oddball hero, a short, chubby, emotionless boy whose unassuming look hides nearly limitless power. His abilities are wild, like chatting with animals, walking through the sky, and wielding magical lollipops. But his costume-altered ego takes his absurdity to new heights. The Fat Fury is what happens when you fully embrace ridiculousness. After failing superhero school, Herbie designs his own costume. A bright red, full-body set of long underwear with a dropped seat, blue cape, a cheap plastic mask, and for reasons that defy all logic, a toilet plunger on his head. If you want a costume that screams deliberately dumb, this one checks every box. It's impractical, goofy, and impossible to take seriously, just like Herbie himself. What makes Herbie's costume work, though, is that it's clearly meant to be silly. Unlike other dumb costumes that are unintentionally bad, the Fat Fury's look fully leans into the absurd. It is a parody of superhero tropes, poking fun at flashy costumes and exaggerated machismo with its sheer lack of effort or logic. Plunger alone makes you question if Herbie even tried, and that's the joke. It's so dumb. It circles back around to being endearing. Herbie's Fat Fury costume might be one of the dumbest outfits in comic book history, but it's intentionally silly, making it a perfect fit for one of the most unconventional heroes of all time. And there you have it, some more of the dumbest, most ridiculous costumes in comic book history. Whether they came from over-the-top trends, questionable creative choices, or just meant to be a joke, these outfits show that not every superhero or villain is destined to be a style alike. But honestly, that's part of what makes them so great. For every perfectly crafted costume, there's a walrus with the rainbow insignia or a Fat Fury with a plunger on his head, keeping comics as weird and as dumb as ever. And at the end of the day, even the dumbest costumes leave an impression. They make us laugh and remind us that comics don't always have to take themselves seriously. Sometimes that's exactly what makes them memorable. Thanks so much for hanging out. Let me know in the comments which costumes you think are the dumbest of all time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more comic book content on Tales from the Long Box. I'll catch you in the next one.